We call it the bathroom. Well, it's a bloody toilet he's going to, not the bathroom.
Well, he does have the accent, you know.
Yeah. It's interesting on, particularly on American movies, a certain kind of movies and or shows. You never see anybody go to the toilet. They don't do that now. So my wife and I have a bit of a joke about, that they don't shit or piss.
I heard that as I walked away. So Lou, Bog, Dunny,
Yeah, yeah,
WC, and it's definitely not a room that I rest in.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. You're very quick too, James. Very quick.
Enlarged prostates can do that to you. It's just a quick urge, and it's, you know, 10 seconds of peeing, and then the urge is gone.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah. Well, when my prostate gets enlarged, it's a slow dribble. It can take a long
oh no, it
time.
was definitely dribbling.
did I miss it, Vince? Did you stop and restart?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Did you? Right.
Mm.
Yeah, well, we call it bathroom because it's very common to say something is bathroom reading in America. That's a very common saying,
Okay.
which may
Yeah.
not be common in the rest of the world for some reason, Americans. But I don't know what that says about our bowel health in general, but
Well, some
a lot of
people,
people say it. The joke
some
is, I took I was reading People magazine in the bathroom the other day, and the guy says, I usually take War and Peace in there with me.
Yeah.
some people do refer to that little room here as the library too. So perhaps that's a compatible saying.
Okay, okay, good. We're not just
Mm.
all crazy here.
Just want to jump in into what Vince said about movies, because one very interesting things about movies is like the timeline, because when you take a movie between two interesting things, like if the main character is moving from one country to another, like James Bond, th- you you don't see James Bond getting bored like for 20 hours in an airplane, So but in the movies they just cut out the boring part. And you
Mm.
watch this, and that's just, but in my life is very boring, but human life is so boring. I mean, boring in the sense it's really normal. You go to toilets, you have nothing to do for many hours, and everyone has nothing to do for many hours. Even the president have nothing to do. I mean, it's just there is so much space between events, but in movies and in social media, everything seems together, and everything seems like we need to have a very exciting life, and we forget is like there is huge spaces between events often.
Mm.
Yeah, it's instant gratification. I mean, it used to not be so much like that, but back in an agricultural economy, when you had to wait long periods of time for this, that, and the other, and the whole ethic was save and wait and take your time, and I think over my lifetime, I've seen to where it seems like it's, we need it right now. You know, you go get your food right now. There's no waiting and planting and all that. I think it's just a
Yeah,
sign of the change in society, and the movies reflect that.
but I
Mm.
think it is because my one of the belief I have is the more we focus on matter, on object, the more time accelerates, the more our experience of time accelerates. And it's a very interesting phenomena, because I say this because if you watch technology, all of the technology, it's made to build new objects, new things, new systems that we will win time. So we will focus on objects to win time. And the more we do this, the less, personally, and I think many others live that but you feel like more stressed and you have less time, you know. So it's this paradox of you seek what you want, but it has the opposite effect.
Mm.
I mean, it's
Interesting.
maybe too much philosophy now.
Mm. Well, it's definitely a thing. Yes, if you want to live a long time, then be bored.
Yeah. Western society is pretty frantic.
Mm. Howdy, everybody.
Okay, so I'm going to talk.
Good.
This is how I'm traveling. Alan, I was thinking about you last night,
Oh dear.
yesterday.
Oh dear. Sorry about that.
When in my sleep. Well, that didn't sound good, did it? Anyway, we had a girl's birthday weekend and we had a wonderful time and everything was good. And the phone rang and, y'all know my son, I always say he's my Achilles heel, and I really thought I was healed from that. And so anyway, so he called, and I'm so much better because before I wouldn't even answer the phone. I'd have to like prepare myself to answer. But I thought I'm over that, I think. So anyway, so I answered the phone, and I can hear in his voice when something's not right, And I said, "Hey, listen, I'm in the pool. I'm wet. Can I call you back later?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure. You can call me back later." So anyway, so I hung up, and we're in swimming and doing that. And I was thinking, okay, it was a trigger. Something happened to me. You know what I mean? And I was trying to find what it was, and so in my thinking, I'm like, okay, identity, I identify as his mom. And then I'm like, well, of course I identify as mom. I gave him birth, But then, then I went back and forth, I'm not responsible for him. He's 37 years old. And, I did all this mental shit in my head, So I was like, okay, so what do I feel? I didn't feel anything, you know? And so I was like, God, I need Alan. He needs to help me feel this because I wasn't feeling anything. I just, and it didn't, this angst or whatever it was didn't ruin the weekend like normally it would have. Matter of fact, the people I was with didn't even know he had called because it wasn't like, oh God, Alex called, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm trying to make something of it because it's because of the habit, you know, um, because I know intellectually, and I think I know in my heart too, that it's all a freaking story. It's only now. And now is not yesterday. And now isn't even when he called a little while ago. And whatever happened yesterday, which I don't even know what it was, I did try to call him today, but he didn't answer. So obviously, whatever that was is long and gone, probably. But I still get caught up in this mother thing, you know, and and I was thinking, it's like I'm very independent. Nobody depends on me for anything. Well, I mean, I don't feel like I have to do anything to anyone, for anyone, or anything, period. I'm pretty, you know, I don't have any of those things except when it comes to him. And I don't know. Help me out, Alan.
I just go back to what you were saying last week, Kathleen. You were talking about the confusion on one hand and the undeniable relief on the other that you also were experiencing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So trying to figure this all out, is that another version of the confusion? Is the relief still there somewhere?
The confusion?
Yeah, the confusion trying to figure out this mother thing as you described it about your son, could that be related to that phenomenon of confusion? And on the
I
other
didn't
hand,
feel like it was. It could, but it didn't
it
feel
could.
like it was.
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
this whole week is, I'm really, until that phone call yesterday, I'm loosey goosey. I'm really,
Mm-hmm.
and this isn't going to sound like much, but I have these Tata friends. They're all rich and they have these big homes and pools and all that. And I've been wearing this shirt for 15 years and I love it. And they tease me, and I'm like, I don't want to buy new stuff. I'm happy with the old stuff, But they're accepting me, you know what I mean? So I'm being able to be authentic with these friends that for a while I wasn't authentic with. I had to like keep up with the Joneses, and now I'm like, screw y'all, accept me or don't accept me, I don't really care. So with all that being said, I think I'm okay. It's just, and then when I think about identity, a couple of years ago when I first started on this journey thing, the idea of identity, was, well, obviously it's front and center. It's number one. Um, I've really been able to disidentify
Mm-hmm.
with everything except, and when you say that, but what happens, this thing with Alex, and even with Alex, I've been able to accept he is who he is, and they do what they do, and it's not my life. And you know what, I think yesterday when I was thinking about it, it was the sadness. And then I thought, it's okay for me to be sad that he's sad.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's all that it was. So that's what I figured out yesterday. Maybe I'm just feeling his sadness, and part of me thinks, well, I shouldn't feel sad because da 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 da. But the other part of me is like, well, I love him, and I do feel sad for him. I mean, I feel sad for my patients in the hospital when something bad's happening. So, okay, come back, Alan.
There we go. Is the answer really in what you're already saying?
Okay.
It's sadness is there. And if we could just go back to, we'll just stay with that at the moment. Sadness is there. It comes and it goes. Is that, are you just?
It's that simple, isn't it?
It is.
And I kind of, like I said, maybe for an hour in the pool, I kind of went back and forth. Is it in my head? Is it in my heart? Where is it? Da, 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 da. And that was kind of what I came up with, was like, well, everything's not rosy.
No.
If someone hit my car right now, I'd be sad. I mean, I'd get over it, but I'd be sad. And so maybe that's the same thing with Alex. Maybe I just, when he calls me and he's sad, I'd need to just be sad with him. And then when it's over, it's over.
In a very practical way, this is what is it not? And
It is.
our pushing against what is creates the suffering.
Creates the suffering. Exactly. Okay.
And I go back to last week when you were talking about confusion on one hand, but feeling relief on the other.
Yeah.
Relief, is there any problem in just reclining back into the relief, and the sadness comes and goes, the joy comes and goes? Well, it's there all the time, really, but this sense of excitement perhaps comes and goes.
I think that's
just let it be.
that's the lesson that I'm on now. Okay. Thank you. That helped a lot. Okay. I'm
Beautiful.
good. See, I needed you.
No, not at all. You had the answer. You actually had the answer yourself. You did.
Yeah.
So
that's why I love you guys.
Just attend to that inner wisdom too. It was there. It really was.
Okay. Thank you.
Love you.
just another thought since nobody's talking right now. I am chatty Kathy today. I'm going on a retreat Wednesday. It's an online retreat with Angelo DeLulla. I do it every 6 months, and it's really beneficial. It's really beneficial. And so I'm not a big meditator, and people are like, oh, what's your practice? It's like, oh, and I don't really have a practice, is that good or bad? Who knows? I'm not even going down that road. But with this meditation retreat, and I'm going to be true to it, it's Wednesday to Sunday. Do y'all recommend inquiring or koans, or what do you recommend for a retreat? Anybody got any ideas?
Don't understand the question. What do you recommend for a retreat?
Yeah, like, I'm going to be in a silent retreat. I mean, they have, like there's a talk and then there's Q&A, but there's like 4 sessions, that are silent. And since I'm not a big meditator, usually I try to meditate, but then I wind up reading something, which I guess is a form of meditation. I call it a form of meditation, something, spiritual. I lie to myself very well. Anyway.
You see that too. That's yeah.
Is there a need? Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, Kathleen, is there a need to actually do anything specific other than what you're doing right now in silence? What's going on in here right now?
Yeah.
So definitely.
It's an opportunity to really discover in a very beautiful way, well, what is going on in here right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, the very idea of retreat is problematic in and of itself. What are you retreating from? More to Alan's point. All right, what's here right now? Are we retreating from that? What are we retreating from? That's the question.
Probably from society at large. Perhaps that's what they're retreating from, is it not?
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, you can't really. But...
If that's what you need, I mean, then that's the purpose it serves. You have to ask yourself, what are you trying to get?
Yeah, so a retreat really should be an advance, not a retreat.
Be less problematic for me.
and Kathleen, silence is absolutely brilliant stuff. What happens in silence is that the mind goes crazy. The mind doesn't like silence, and so it wants to fill it. So if you spend your whole time in silence, going, "What should I be doing?" That's exactly what's intended. I think that's brilliant. That if you can sit there and go, well, will I do this or will I do that, or won't I do this or won't I do that? Why can't I make up my mind what to do? All of this stuff is what comes up in silence. And that's exactly what's intended. You get to see part of yourself. So don't go reading something. That's just a diversion. That's a decoy. Yeah. Right? Stay with the uncomfortable feeling of I don't know what to do.
I didn't want to hear that, but you're absolutely right. I'm not resisting. That's absolutely right. Being with just whatever is.
I'll throw a variation in for you, Kathleen, since people are talking about the word retreat. Yeah? When you go, you treat yourself, and then you can retreat yourself and retreat yourself and retreat yourself, and you can treat yourself as many times as you like.
I like that too. Okay, y'all gave me good information. Y'all gave me good information. Thank you.
You can start your retreat right now, because
Yeah.
obviously even the thought of being quiet in the future, it's already triggering you right now. So you can already use it, like you can just be quiet for 5 minutes and see what happens, or just think about it and see how you react. So enjoy. It's good. You are already advancing or retreating, or a retreat, an advanced retreat or something like this. Maybe.
I think
Thank
also
y'all.
linking this to when you were talking about your son going off, sorry, your phone going off and your son calling you, it made me think about the stories we tell ourselves. And so, as David had just said, thinking about retreat is already triggering stories in you. Oh, what's this? What's that? What's going on? And like, I assume when your phone goes off, you don't immediately know it's your son unless you've got a separate ringtone for him. Yeah. So there's no story. The phone goes off. Oh, yeah. Then maybe you pick the phone up and then you see it's your son calling you. And there's the point where the story gets triggered. Yeah. So whether you can relate that to dealing with your son or dealing with retreats, it's these stories we tell ourselves over and over again. And for me, whether it's meditation or trying to just live life as a meditation, it's letting the stories go, because they are that. We all know they're just stories.
Yeah.
As long as we don't dismiss them, that you got to be careful there. You can say, oh, it's just a story, and that's a dismissal, and that's bypassing. And that's ignoring what might be underneath the story. So always a good question is, why did that particular story turn up?
Mm.
Or not, actually, that's a bit of a diversion too. So not why did it turn up, but that's implicit in how am I experiencing the arrival of that story? What is happening in the body? Now, trying to give it meaning, don't give it meaning. Just look at what the actual impact of it is. And one of the things that came to mind, Kathleen, that may or may not be relevant, but one of the things that I see happening is that we tend to hang on to what is familiar. There's an inbuilt part of our being, our brain maybe, that wants to keep things the way they are, regardless of how they are, even if they're shitty. We want to hang on to it because it's familiar. And in familiarity, we feel something, safety maybe, or I don't know. So here you are experiencing an unfamiliarity with your response to your son, with your reactions to him calling. And that unfamiliarity might feel a little bit, yeah. So is there a part of you that was comfortable with what used to be the case, even though it was shitty? You were comfortable because it was known, it was predictable, and now you've got this unsure, not knowing, because it's different. It's not familiar anymore. It's part of identification, I guess. But yeah, I wonder. It's just a thought. Perhaps you could ponder that in silence.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Come and tell us what happens, after the retreat.
I will. It ends at noon next Sunday, so, and it's 3:00 here now, so I will see y'all at 3:00 next week.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And then when you come to the meeting, say nothing the whole time.
After not talking for 5 days, I'm going to be more than chatty Kathy.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Could I ask a question? Just came up when Kathleen was talking. I went to see my stepdaughter, last week, and her moods are very changeable. So sometimes she's really open, and other times she's distant, and she practically ignores me and just plays on her phone. She's 29. And then I looked after the kids for her, and I'd asked her to be back at a certain time, and she was 40 minutes late, so I rang her, and she was in the supermarket, and she was just very dismissive. And anyway, cut a long story short, sometimes things like that don't affect me, but it did. And I felt really, I think I felt angry, and then the next day I felt hurt, and it kind of wiped me out a bit. It went quite deep. Felt like an overreaction, but that's what it was at the time. And many things were going through my head, like obviously feel the feelings, look at the thoughts. So I was doing as much of that as I could. And then different ways to handle it, like this is feels like a slap in the face that I keep getting from her. Do I listen to that and keep my boundary tighter? But then I forget about keeping my boundary because things go well for a while, and then it's like she's cut off from me. Or do I look at the reflection of like everything's me? So my stepdaughter's presenting in front of me a reflection of some shadow part of me, maybe a hardness, or yeah. So what do I kind of do? Byron Katie, turn it around to what's the reflection of me? Obviously sit with any feelings that come up. Goes without saying, and I did try to do that, but I was quite shocked at the degree of hurt and anger that I felt with her. And yeah, I think that's it. I just wondered any suggestions around those two different ways, and if I could do anything differently other than what I did.
It sounds to me, Anne, that what you did was what was needed. There again, you felt the answer, you felt what was necessary, and did it. The feeling in to your reaction, and just watching the thoughts and questioning the thoughts. It's a beautiful thing, the answer so often is right there, if we call it an answer, or the question, what should we do? It's often right there, but our thoughts override that. So for me, it's just a beautiful thing that, where you arrived was what was needed to be arrived at.
Yeah.
Trust yourself. Trust that inner wisdom.
Yeah, I am trying to do that more. It's just sometimes it wants to come to a conclusion at the end of, like, don't let her keep hurting you.
The thoughts.
Then, sorry, go on, Vince.
I was going to say the thoughts that arose here as you were talking was, wow, you really take this much too seriously. It's like you've got the responsibility to keep the world going, kind of feeling. That really heavy. There's a heaviness about it that doesn't really warrant. never going to work other people out. You know, we're a mystery to ourselves. How can we possibly understand anybody else? So if she's like she is, that's just the way it is. But the reality for you is how that impacts you. And I'm thinking that you need to lighten up, if that's possible, about the whole thing. Not lighten up in a dismissive way. I don't mean that you just bypass anything. Just but yeah. So there are practical things involved. Okay, so you asked her to be back at a certain time, and she obviously doesn't have an attitude, whether you call it respect or whatever it might be, towards you, that means that she's putting an effort into getting back at the right time. She's just being very casual and treating you that way. So then your idea of boundaries becomes a real issue, you know. So you have to say, well, I asked you to be back at a certain, in your own mind, I asked you to be back at a certain time so that I could go and do something else, and now that's mucked up because you didn't respect it. So what's the reality there? She is the way she is, and next time when you ask her to be back at a certain time, you can probably expect that she's going to be very casual about that and not really respect that. So you will protect yourself by saying, well, no, I'm not going to look after your kids because of what you did to me last time was inappropriate. But you do it lightheartedly. There's nothing super serious about this. She's going to be the way she is, and she's probably not going to change. Who knows? It's
Yeah,
other
well,
people. Yeah.
I kind of accepted that. It's just I forget when she can just blip to this other side, and I'm going in open.
Yes.
Kind of expect it to be a certain way, and then it's like, oh fuck, I forgot to remind myself to just have that boundary of like,
Yes.
remind myself you might be that way out.
Yeah. And when you go in open, which you did, I wonder if that's conditional, you know, like if you expect that because you're open, other people will be a certain way. That may have been a hidden expectation.
Yeah.
And because that got trampled on, you got disappointed with that. That kind of that hurts, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I did question expectation. It's just difficult to remember when somebody's very changeable and you're expecting the same person and then they present differently. I'm not very good with those moods, you know. Yeah. But I didn't quite know what you meant. I won't take it the wrong way now, but probably when I come off and you say lighten up, it sounds like a criticism, and I know you don't mean it like that, but excuse me, but you'd have to unpack that a bit for it not to sound like a criticism. Because one of my criticisms against myself is, for fuck's sake, I'm lighten up. You're so heavy, you're so serious, and that you saying that to me is kind of confirming that negative belief about myself. Because I think I am too heavy, too serious.
And okay, that is what you think. That is what you feel. Yeah. It certainly wasn't meant on my part as a criticism. Criticisms aren't helpful. But it was like trying to convey an idea over that your level of seriousness is part of the, I want to say problem, but it's not the right word because it's not like that. But I mean, that level of seriousness adds to stuff, creates stuff that doesn't need to be there. So you might have a belief that other people can change, and that they'll change depending on how you are, and that's that's kind of pretty heavy stuff. But the reality is that other people are probably not going to change, regardless of how you are. I mean, of course, everybody changes all the time, so I don't mean that in an absolute way. But what I'm saying is having unrealistic expectations about her makes it a kind of a heavy duty thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It doesn't feel like an expectation. I have accepted. I feel like I have accepted, and I got to that point where, you know, she's not going to change. This is the way she is, and I'm okay with that. But I just felt so uncomfortable, and the uncomfortable makes me just want to leave. Just want to go. That, you know.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But when you say about too heavy, I mean, well, how could I change that? Because that's just what I was.
You can't change that. But it will change, but you can't do it.
But when you say lighten up, how would I do that?
You can't. You can't do anything. You think you can do stuff. You can't. But just the
so
idea.
What I mean says, what's the point of you giving me that feedback?
Well,
what's the point? What's the agenda in it? What do you want me to do with that?
Yeah. Okay. So everything I say.
If I said to you, I think you've been a bit heavy about this, maybe lighten up. What would you do with that?
I would consider, I would contemplate the feeling behind that, what goes on. I would contemplate how much weight I give it, or how important it is, that kind of stuff. Now, so what I want people to see is that the words that I say, or the concepts that I convey, they're seeds. They're just seeds to be, and some will germinate. That's an old story, but that's the way it is. So, you know, it's only me and my opinion and my stories. It means nothing really. But because you also feel about something about that, that gives my words a lot more weight than was intended from this side of the conversation. And so, because it triggers something for you, doesn't it? It triggers, oh yes, I think I'm too heavy as well. I think I need to lighten up. Yeah.
I just don't think it's saying, I don't think it's useful or helpful, because it's not something I would say to someone, because it sounds like a judgment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But you judge yourself about that, don't you?
Pardon?
You judge yourself about that. You said earlier that I triggered something that you believe about yourself, that you tell yourself to lighten up. Right? So it's not my words. My words have only triggered what's already going on for you. And your feeling of helplessness about doing something about that also is involved in what got triggered by my words. So yeah, sure, it may be that it's not helpful. Especially if you just take it as a criticism and you go away and we don't talk about it. But if we talk about it, we can get closer and closer to what's really meant. What my intentions are for you. I want to give you a gift. If I could give you a package that you could unwrap and all of a sudden you lighten up, that would be a wonderful gift. But I know my words don't do that. They don't come across like a gift. But I'm just telling you that I started by saying the thoughts that came up here as you were talking. So I'm being authentic and honest with you. They were the thoughts. Right? And I don't want to apologize for those thoughts. I want them to be helpful to you. I really do want them to be helpful. But if you,
I think
yeah.
I don't want you to apologise to them, but if we're going to be honest, and I think you need to be a bit more gentle when you say these things, Vince.
Okay.
I think you not be as.
Yep, I get it.
If that wasn't you, I would say that was a judgment. Knowing you're a guide, a teacher, I'll kind of take it. But if that was somebody else, I'd just think that's a pretty judgmental thing to say.
You would say fuck you, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I really appreciate. I really love the fact that you can come back at me and say this. That's not helpful. That's a good thing. You know, that's you being authentic, and that's really important to me. Yeah. So.
And you know, I have to have compassion for myself. I was ill that day, so I felt heavy. You know, I didn't want to babysit, but I didn't feel I needed to cancel, otherwise I would have done. I felt I would be okay, but it was a bit of a double whammy having that kind of response from her. So maybe it wouldn't have hit as hard, but I felt a bit raw anyway. So I was perhaps heavier than usual. My judgment, I mean, the judgment, I'm heavy. I probably am. I don't really care, to be honest. It's a judgment I have in the past.
You are the way you are, and there's no escaping that. You know, that is it. You know, but that doesn't mean you always will be the way you are. And so, what I would hope by telling you that is that maybe that shifts your perspective a little bit on what's going on, and that as a result of that you can lighten up a little bit. Now I feel apologetic saying those words again. Yeah. But yeah, like we don't control the way we are. You know, we evolve, we change as a result of our experience. So the fact that you think about being heavy or taking it super seriously, that in itself may be part of, I guess it's a hope of mine that may be part of what might happen for you to consider not taking things so seriously. Right? We're not talking about a life and death situation here. We're talking about comfortable and uncomfortable, really, aren't we? Maybe we're talking about suffering and not suffering.
No, it's not life or death, but it hits into a trauma
Yes,
area.
yes. Yeah.
And when you say not life or death, the effect of it the day after was very heavy.
Yes, sure, yeah.
Trauma. So, yes, it is a life and death in the fact that it opened up an old trauma. And that's how it affects me. That's nothing to do with Hannah. In fact, the whole thing's nothing to do with Hannah, really. There's a managing side of how do I see her, when do I go, do I keep my boundaries? And the other side of it is the trauma it opened up for me. And that she can touch on that trauma, and that's a gift to me. I just can't solve it yet. I can't get into the trauma and kind of work with that. So she is a gift that she keeps showing me this, but I don't like it. It's too painful.
Yeah,
but
not a pleasant one. Yeah.
I might be able to find it.
Well, what I'm wondering is, why did you say you'd go and look after her children when you weren't feeling well?
Because I felt
this isn't criticism either. This is the kind of thing that I would do. And I just suddenly think, What you said you were feeling ill. So why did you do it?
Yeah, but I did mention, Yvonne, that I weighed it up and I thought it might do me good on the selfish level. It might do me good to go out. And I love seeing the kids. And I had to weigh up, am I too ill to go? Maybe I didn't weigh that up well and I wasn't ill enough to go. But I completely get where you're at, because I'm constantly having to look at my boundaries, like, is this, am I avoiding saying no? And that's, I work with that all the time, because I have to give myself permission to say no, and I do sometimes, and it makes me feel crap for a while, but it's okay. But no, I did weigh that up, but maybe I didn't weigh it up well enough. As like you're saying, it might have been better to have a closer look at it. Yeah. Vince has given me some nice material to look at. Just try and mix some encouragement in with it, Vince, as well.
Okay.
A few nice things now and again, like nice, just to get a bit like feeling like I'm doing okay.
And the other side of lighten up is an observation that you're carrying too much luggage. And it's an invitation. I think what Vince is trying to point to is, what are you carrying extra? Is it the fact that you didn't express your anger properly at the time and you're carrying anger forward at yourself that you didn't express that anger? And I always, being a country boy, I take the observations from a herd of horses in the field. When they get ticked off with one another, they kick at each other and then it's settled. Everybody's fine after that because they express it. But human beings, we try to be nice sometimes, and it brings it back on ourselves, really, in a sense. My horses don't ask, should I have done this or should I have not done that? They have, and maybe that's a bad example. I'm just saying, what are you carrying? It's an invitation to look at what are you carrying forward from that transaction that you felt like you should have expressed and didn't express, and let it be a lesson for you in the future the next time it happens. And everybody's kind of pointing to the fact that to actually change her behavior, you're going to have to make it inconvenient for her in the future. When you say, no, I'm not going to handle your kids because you won't respect my boundaries, then when she has to start hiring a babysitter, then maybe that will affect change in her and you won't be so resentful and you won't be carrying the extra luggage.
Yeah, true. I mean, a couple of things there. One is I don't always realize I'm angry until later. So it's like there's no point in going into, I should have said this, I should have said that, because it's a delayed response. And then the other thing is that I don't get angry with her because I think it'd be an overreaction on my part. I think it's my shit. So I don't want to spill that out on her, because I think it's something I can deal with. And I think I'd regret it afterwards, because it'd just be an impulse to get angry. A couple of things there, I think. Might be wrong.
Well, it might be that, and that might not be, in other words, maybe it's inappropriate to express it, but you're carrying, the observation Vince is making is you're carrying something extra that you might not ought to be carrying if it's causing you distress. And it's for you to look inside and find out which one that is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Is that what you're saying, Vince? I'm carrying something?
Yeah, that the whole thing adds up to a pretty heavy weight you're carrying around.
The heavy weight is just rejection. That's the trauma, is feelings of rejection. So that's what I need to perhaps work with a bit more.
Yeah, but the heaviness there isn't that just the rejection from her. That wouldn't be such a heavy weight. That it
Oh,
certainly
no, no,
wouldn't
no,
be
it's not.
pleasant. But yeah, it's a
Yeah,
whole lot of other rejection as well.
yeah, yeah,
That's there. And in the
yeah,
end, it becomes you rejecting you because of all of that.
yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts, sis, on this? I mean, you're sitting there, but I know you're having thoughts about it.
I don't, yeah, sure. Actually, I was just now thinking how much I didn't want to jump in when Anne and I have never spoken before.
Oh, don't worry.
But yeah, and I have a couple questions that have come to mind in the process. Well, and whether or not these are going to be helpful or if you're going to have any curiosity. As far as boundaries go, yeah, when we're my first question that came early in the conversation is, when did you first get uncomfortable with her not returning on time? Like, was it when she was 5 minutes late or 15 minutes late, or when did that happen, and how long did you stew before you called her at the grocery store?
About 20 minutes, and I started at 20 minutes and then I called her at 40 minutes.
Okay, so what was that 20 minutes between? Are you curious about this? Is this something that sounds maybe interesting to you about your experience?
Yeah, I think what I've come to the conclusion of is that I wasn't quite on the ball because I felt ill. So I didn't feel strong enough. You know, maybe in normal situations, I might have rang her earlier and said, look, I really have to go now. But I waited, you know.
Okay. So, having been ill all my life, I'm going to offer this, and you have to check it out for yourself. That the process that I've had to go through is that ill or not ill cannot decide my whys, whens, and wherefores. Because I have been and may always be ill. So I have to look beyond it. Now, I don't say that easily, and I'm not sure it's going to be easy for me to help you understand what I mean. But I'm curious, very curious with you about that 20 minutes. And if you've already decided that your illness is what decided all of that, it's very hard to be curious. And that's what I discovered for myself, that I have to be able to look at myself even deeper or broader than physical symptoms. Does this make sense? Because I don't know if anyone's ever mentioned it.
It makes sense. It's absolutely making sense. Yeah.
Does it make sense to you?
I think with my physical symptoms, I sort of believe that the physical symptoms are caused by mental issues like trauma. And when I'm ill, you know, I might not ring her because I might feel guilty about ringing her. And this is all trauma stuff. whereas normally I might not have that going on, so my response won't be as slow.
So
The-
you're
the
saying that
trauma,
sometimes you have
is
a
the same
trauma and
thing.
sometimes you don't? No, I'm trying to understand something.
Yeah.
So for you, yeah, I just have to say, I don't understand what you just said. That it's not quite clear to me what the thought construct is about trauma. The way you said it, it sounded to me like sometimes you have trauma and sometimes you don't. I don't know what that means.
I think that I have trauma. I have a lot of fear and guilt and shame underlying, which is probably the heaviness been seizing me. And that manifests in physical symptoms, sometimes minor, sometimes gross, depending on how much my trauma is affected.
Or how active the body is in letting you see it.
Yeah.
Or feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So totally understand that. Kind of from the inside and the outside. Okay.
Yeah.
So that
already operating with trauma when I went in there, which is why I was triggered. That's what I'm seeing as we're speaking. I was going in with the trauma, whereas normally if I go in without the trauma, I might not like it, but it's not a big deal. But because I'm going in almost childlike in trauma, then I'm having childlike responses to it.
Okay. And so what is your understanding or your intention for responding to your trauma?
My intention?
Like, how do you want or expect to respond to your trauma?
What I'm trying to do at the moment is body work, where I'm listening to the body more, and I'm, speaking to that inner part or the inner child, and that's how I'm working with it. So not ignoring feelings that are coming up, trying to sit with those and have more time and patience and be gentle with them. That's how. Is that what you mean? That's trying to respond to it at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So, we've been together. We were together in the retreat. So, and both of us are really familiar with Todd and Pernilla. So that's really the beauty that you're expressing in this moment, that desire to be in the fullness of the understanding of very early and body holding the trauma that the young body felt, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So
and I'm very with that.
And you're very what?
Early on with that. But I'm aware I'm taking a lot of time and there's a lot of people here and I don't want to take away that time.
So my question then is, was there a response to your trauma in that 20 minutes that you were very uncomfortable and feeling the trauma of her not coming?
I don't think there was enough response, if I'm honest. I think I was ignoring, I was abandoning myself and ignoring my needs in order not to offend or upset her.
Yeah.
Which is what I've just seen through talking to you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's that abandonment that stays with you until now in this moment. You can say, oh, I don't want to do that again. I abandoned myself while I was there. I think that's wonderful how quickly you came to that.
Yeah,
Really.
thank you for facilitating that, because it is a lesson I keep seeing, but I keep having to see it again and again. It's you know, I need to see it more, respond to it more. Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for being with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful.
I would like to say something. Well, just how I saw it when Vince told you that to lighten up, and I thought that, but when you were saying to him, it's like, thank you, Vince. I will lighten up when I want to lighten up, when I feel like it. Now I'm heavy. I want to do things right and deal with it. And I've this is this lightening up. Exactly this. And also that you, in this, you didn't abandon yourself. You were only.
Thank you for that, Bianca. It felt good. Thank you.
And if I could add something that I was considering in that process, when you ask about how to lighten up, one of the other things that, you know, I would offer is a way to lighten up is to remember that when you're attending to your trauma, the body that's receiving the attention needs a very light, sweet, compassionate, encouraging touch. You know, not, I know this is horrible. It's a horrible thing that just happened to you, or, oh, the pains in this body are very awful, or so many symptoms and so many, but rather, oh, you know, right now in this moment, I'm really okay. You know, that sweet, light touch is that's a great place to offer it.
I just want to add here too. I didn't say lighten up. I didn't tell you to lighten up. And I'm not, and I know this might sound like I'm defending, but what I said was they're the thoughts that turned up here. Right? But also now, from what Sis is saying, I remember too that what I really would love to have done was to give you a hug when I said that.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
that, and I don't want to seem creepy, but there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vince, you are the best because you give us the space to say to you, fuck you, Vince.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vince. And that would have made a huge difference to me if you just said, I want to give you a hug. That would have really, really helped. Because that's what I feel I need all the time at the moment. And it's what I'm trying to give myself, a hug, you know. Yeah, thank you for saying that. And thank you all for your feedback. It's been really useful. Yeah. Yeah, very useful. Thank you.
I'll tell you a personal story, and if this works or not, we shall see. Something that was said to me, which really pissed me off, along the lines of lighten up or whatever, was always remember that you're always wrong and everybody else is always right. When that was first said to me, I was pissed off, yeah, angry, annoyed, upset, reactive, whatever. Then I sat with it for a long while and finally realized it was true. Yeah, because everything out there, which is everybody else, is what it is. It is the truth, you know, the things I see, the things I hear, everything out there is the truth, for want of a better word. Yeah, but it is what it is. And everything in here is a reaction or a story. Yeah. And so everything in here is made up and everything out there is real. Yeah. So from that step, then I realized that I'm wrong about most things. Yeah. And if it's a personal reaction, like I've argued with my wife, whatever. Yeah. Then I've got all the emotions stuck on top of it. You know, I've got all the injustice, blah, 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 pile it all on. And I'm beating myself up because I want to say I'm not wrong, but I know I am. And so the lightening up for me at the end of all this process was to actually just accept that I was wrong. You know, just like, oh, well, got that wrong. And then move on from there. So I don't know if that works for you, Anne. Like you were saying, that the lady you're talking about was giving you a gift. She is giving you a gift. She's right, you're wrong, and work from there. Forgive yourself, because we all get things wrong, and then you can move on from there, hopefully.
That I love that, James. When you said that word accept, there's something shifted for me here. That's a, yeah, with acceptance, there is zero weight. It's all gone. We dumped a lot of it with acceptance, don't we? That is just an amazing thing. Now, of course, we can't do that, but we can know that it happens. Yeah, there's another seed that can germinate. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
I think it's sometimes difficult because what I'm realizing when I'm talking is just how angry I was with her, which I didn't really recognize before I've spoken about this. And it's hard when you know that you're wrong to be angry, because it's a reaction to something that's probably nothing to do with her, but you're still angry. Do you see what I mean? You know, you can't deny.
I'm glad you said that, because... No, go on, carry on.
Well, you can't deny your feelings, you know. I could talk them away, but yeah, I knew it was wrong because I've been in the same situation and it's not bothered me. So it can't be true, because it's, you know, but in that particular time, I was angry. And I'm glad
you've used that word and said it, because everything about the way you've been for the last however long, and don't worry about taking up the time. We're all here, yeah? And everybody is learning from this. Everybody, yeah? But I've had the impression that you've been angry the whole time you've been talking, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. It is the reaction. It's there. It was in you, yeah? And like you say, it like I think Paul was saying about the horses, let it out, kick a few things. You know, I don't mean literally break your house up, but you get what I mean as a metaphor. Yeah. And like, for instance, you talk back to Vince, and we all have different styles. And literally the very first thing Vince ever said to me on this forum was, "It's okay if you want to tell me to fuck off." That was literally his first words to me, because you can see what I was like. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And attending to that child who felt rejected that you're wanting to do, that may very well have been what the body wanted to do, was stomp and scream and throw a tantrum.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just holding my anger in. Yeah.
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 Don't
Holding it.
underestimate.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate your creativity.
Mm.
Don't ever underestimate your creativity. If you really want to attend to what's going on in the body, I have absolutely no doubt that no matter what situation you're in, you can figure out a way for the body to have its way. I mean, like, I don't know the age of the children, but putting on music and stomping with them in that moment, or whatever, you know, just giving the body permission to tell you what it wants to do, and trusting your creativity, no matter where you are, to figure out how to do it, how to give permission, you know.
And I think it's the denial of it initially, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to know that I'm angry. I think I'm wrong that I'm angry. And that's something that I can, you know, I think I've got a lot of stuff around anger that I keep in, actually. Yeah.
I'd like to say, Anne, also, I think, you know, when you say you have this anger, I've had it. I assume everybody's had it, yeah? And there's this expression of anger. In the moment, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not saying go beat people up or whatever, you know, but the expression of anger, whether that's to yourself, however you do it, whether you go into the shower and scream while the water's running, whatever that is, yeah? I don't think there's anything wrong. I genuinely think there's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with it is either whether you express that in a way that starts to affect others, yeah, or if you then internalize that and beat yourself up with it, so you carry it on, you know, day after day after day after day after day. You were angry.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, in that moment, and you don't have to beat yourself up anymore. You know, even though you will. It's just what it was.
What comes to mind? What comes to mind is the pushing down of the anger is like you're adding to gravity. Gravity's already making things heavy, and pushing down adds to that. So you got a suitcase full of lead that you're trying to drag around with you by holding it in, by thinking it's wrong. It can have, let's dispense with wrong. It can have consequences, but the consequences of screaming your rage into a pillow, for example, is probably going to be good, whereas the consequences of kicking the dog or punching somebody in the face outside is going to be bad. You know, that's it. So, but yeah, anyway, that's just thoughts that turned up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I thought it was going to be a short question, but it's very long. I better turn the lights on now because I'm just fading away in this darkness. Thank you.
Talk to us, Rita.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, got you. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey. Hi. Yeah. Um, I I think I've had a kind of a shift. Or more of a gap. So the last few months I've been, I think I've been quite believing thoughts again, and I felt like I was in a downward spiral actually. But now, it was last week, I got actually angry at my daughter. And we had a discussion, and it cleansed the air, and then I got home, and I watched Amazon, a non-dual. He was just speaking like, and suddenly my mind kind of stopped, and I was very silent. So I found my feet, or I kind of found this awareness again. And I realized I've been out of it for quite some time. So this is good. It's not so personal. I feel like I can have some distance. I watch myself do stuff, but now it's just more giggly again. So, but when I listen now and talk about trauma and reactivity, and so I think I have a lot to it's a lot of things I can probably work on, but I also enjoy the space
That's
now.
good. So
Yeah.
was it something that your son said that triggered that?
No, my daughter.
Oh, your daughter, sorry?
My daughter. No, my daughter. Nah. No, it's kind of similar to what that I've been saying yes, and I've been acting on my guilt. So I've been kind of giving more than I really wanted, and with babysitting, with a lot of stuff, and I felt like I didn't receive anything in return. So, and it was just like building up inside, and I was scared to say something because I was scared that she would, reject me. And then she got angry with me because I said no, and then I just like got angry back. And it was like now, and we have been laughing about it after. It's been great. It's been great. I think we needed it. I needed it, and I needed to set some kind of. I needed to trust that she loves me, that I can say no, and that it's okay. So I don't think I will get angry next time, but maybe that's what it take to. I think that's what it took to make me speak up. Yeah.
So it was a little bit like Paul's
So,
horses just having a kick at each other.
Yeah, yeah. But I think I've lost lost and lost. I've been so scared of losing more connection to the people I love. So I've been, I've been not been myself. I haven't been. I think I've tried to be what they want me to be. Kind of. Yeah.
So what triggered the return to sanity? What triggered that you coming back to that place of peace?
Oh, with that Amazon guy. I think first it was this anger and this reaction, and I saw that it was all right. So then I laughed and laughed and laughed, and what I was scared of. And then I saw him speaking with one of his clients, and he was just like said, "What's between the thought of past and future is like between all thoughts." And then this room got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was like boom, silent.
Wow.
And I remembered it's the direct experience is it's just between the words.
Mm.
And I was like, yes.
Mm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Mm.
So now I have written it on my mirror. What's between?
Mm.
So when I go to the bathroom, I see it on my mirror.
Mm. So did
Yeah.
it feel like coming home for you?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like when I went through Liberation Unleashed in the beginning, this space, but then I don't think I realized what happened. It was just it was so instant and it went so fast. I went through the Liberation Unleashed so quickly, so I didn't. I mean, all this spirituality is kind of new to me. So, but now it's heaven. Yeah.
Right. Mm.
Yeah, it's like I'm me. I'm back. It's like a childhood. Yeah, good.
Mm.
And it's yeah, I don't know. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's like home. It's like a new home.
Mm.
In me, everywhere.
Mm.
And what's coming up for me now is how I'm looking at all these faces and everybody's beaming, and it's like, wow, it's palpable. Other people can feel what you're feeling. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. Hello, everyone.
Hello. I
So
often
I'm
think
gonna,
of you.
yeah,
I often
I
think
watch
of you.
you. Thank you. And I see you on YouTube. I try to attend more often. We're kind of late, so yeah.
The kind of what?
It's
What did
kind of
you say?
late, so I don't. Now it's late to come here.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, it's late
Because
here.
yeah, but I'll try to be here when I'm awake. Well, now I'm awake.
It's lovely to see you. So happy.
Yeah, you too.
Lovely.
Yeah. Mm. Is it good in England at your son's?
Is it good in England? It's free.
Yeah,
It's very cold in England. But what? Sorry, I can't quite hear you. What was your question? Is it good?
I'm sorry. It's
I don't know.
it's this here. You live at your other son? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, it's broken, I think.
Oh, don't worry. All is
Yeah,
well.
bye-bye.
I'm not going.
No, I'm not going.
is
I'm just putting on these others. Yeah.
All
Well,
is
thank you,
well.
Vince. Yeah.
Yvonne, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So Rita was asking, how is it with your other son?
Oh, Yeah, I don't know which one that would be. All my sons are having problems, and I'm doing my best not to get too caught up in it all. Yeah, but it's tricky. I've got, well, now you ask me. My youngest son, who's just about 32, I think, I lose track, my youngest one, he's been going through an illness that he's suddenly got, and I think he's blaming, he said it's caused, well, I know it's caused by his anxiety. And now he doesn't call me because he's blaming most of his anxiety on me, that I am the cause of his anxiety. And that's been tricky because he's been calling me every day, and checking I'm okay, and sometimes twice a day. And maybe some people say I breastfed him too long. It could be because I breastfed him till he was nearly 4. Maybe that's it. But we have a psychic connection, and I think sometimes for his sake, I think it's too close for his sake. And now he stopped calling me. Just now and then, I've got to be, it's eggshell country around him. I've got to be careful what I say to him. And sometimes it hurts. And then in the past, it would have been more difficult. But now it's more easy to let him separate and do what he has to do. And there's just a small part of me that kind of misses him calling me every day. But it's all right, as long as I don't get it caught into it, and just stay with everything. We'll stay with the emptiness of everything, and it just disappears. Not trying to bypass, but just accepting it as it is. It's tricky though. That's how I am with one son.
So tell us about the trickiness.
It's tricky because I can get caught up. And we were talking last Sunday, I say I get hooked, and you say, and I say I unhook. So in a sense, I still, it's like getting hooked and unhooked. But then you were saying last week, you don't do it. So I'm letting the unhookedness unhook itself without me I'm just letting it happen. I'm just letting I don't know. I don't know anything. And it just is how it is. But it's, they're tricky. What's tricky? Because I get caught into it, and it hurts, and then I feel it, and breathe it in, breathe it out, and it's gone again. It's gone. I don't know how else to...
Can I ask you what hurts? What hurts?
It's just, something hurts.
Yeah, something hurts.
Something hurts around here.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what it is.
That's a good start. Just feel not, yeah, yeah. There's a hurt. Yeah,
I
and
don't,
you
I
don't know
don't,
what it is, and you're feeling it.
I do. I think it's to do with more than one son. I think it's to do with
I'm not sure the thinking is going to help you too much.
no. It could be that. It could be sadness.
Uh-huh.
And it could be sadness.
What happens when you say sadness? Does that fit? What happens? Right there, right there. What happens in the hurt when you say that? What are you experiencing? Not so much thinking. Can you invite it a little more closely to come a little more close, a little more vividly? It hurts.
I want to throw in here that I remember from what Yvonne told us before that she's waiting to get her heart fixed.
Oh, my heart bypass.
Yeah, but
I don't.
change it from not the medical thing of waiting for a bypass. You're waiting to get your heart fixed.
Ah, what's wrong with my heart? Heart is where all the love is. I wonder why my heart needed to be fixed, how it went wrong. When I don't know. I don't know.
This story that you maybe breastfed your son too long, is that a story you have often told or often thought or often revisited?
Friends say to me, when another son wants too much from me, she's always saying, that's because you breastfed him for too long. So it's kind of a joke. I don't think I breastfed him for too long. I breastfed him as long as I breastfed.
Don't let me distract you. Don't let me distract you. But that is such a close, intimate thing that you brought up, and that now in that whole area of heart and breast and sternum, there's something there for you that is not understood or resolved or shifting very much.
And normally at this point I would break down and cry, but I'm not feeling that. I'm not doing that. So I'm aware that I'm taking a long time, but then I'm taking the time it takes. So I don't know what to say.
Good. Just feel that there's no need for you to say anything.
No. I'm getting back to that hurt. I feel I think I feel misunderstood, if I can use words. It's lonely. It's a lonely path doing this investigation, and it's lovely to have you all there, but it's those that you love, it's difficult when you can't share it. And that hurts and makes me very sad. I feel I must come to a conclusion. There isn't a conclusion.
How existential is this loneliness?
Existential is, yeah. Well, it's just, well, I realize that I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds like it produces a heavy heart.
Yes, it does. It does feel like a heavy heart. Yes, I think there is a heavy heart here. It's a sadness. And not to be able to share, I say share the love, but I don't know, because sometimes I feel very angry with this particular son, my youngest one. And that could be mixed up in it all, because I realize I keep saying, yeah, okay, you're right, yeah, you're right. As Pernilla would say, I don't know if you know Pernilla.
Yes.
She would say, just say sorry, sorry I did what I did, or I didn't do what I didn't do, I'm sorry. So I say that, but then I want to say, fuck off. And when he says things like, well, you don't ever listen to what I say, Mum, and, you should see a therapist. And I really want to say, fuck you. You should be seeing the therapist. It's like, I don't want to hurt him, or I don't want to rock the boat, I suppose. I think I don't know. Yeah.
It occurs to me, Yvonne, that it's not so important that he hears you say that, but it is very important that you are able to say that. What's his name?
I don't know if I should say his name, because
All right.
I feel like, why do I need his?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, well, let's call him Jack. I'd like to hear you say, fuck you, Jack.
I'll use one of his names. one of his names, fuck, no, it wouldn't make sense though, because it's not his name. Well, it is his name, but it's not his child's name. Yeah. Well, just to say fuck you is, I know he's coming from her, and I know where he's coming from, and I know.
Yeah, now you're making now you're making excuses, right? You. So I suspect that you want to say that, but you feel it's wrong, and that's the big thing, that you feel it's wrong.
Yeah. Well,
maybe that's my story.
Well, it's kind of arrogance. He has a kind of arrogance, you know. He always thinks he's right. Or maybe Pernilla would say, or maybe if I turn it around, maybe it's me who always thinks I'm right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything. But I'm angry. I am angry. I'm angry with him. Yeah. I would like just to say, fuck off.
And you don't because?
I'm afraid to.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, that's a bit telling, isn't it? I'm afraid to. Yeah, I think a lot of parents are afraid of their children.
Yeah, but what about you? So how do you feel about being afraid?
Oh, I don't feel good. What am I afraid of?
No, don't go there. So how do you feel about being afraid? Is it okay to be afraid? Are you angry at yourself for being afraid?
No, it's okay to be afraid.
Does it leave a sour taste in your mouth?
No, I feel if I'm afraid, it's not very healthy to be afraid of your child like that. What am I? Well, I have to say, I'm afraid he probably won't speak to me for a long time. Maybe that's what I'm afraid of. But he's not speaking to me much anyway. I am angry that he's blaming me for his, he won't take responsibility for his own anxiety. To be blaming, me being the cause of his anxiety makes me very angry, very upset, and just not being able to tell him, this is your anxiety, you sort it out, it's got nothing to do with me. Anyway.
It must be pretty frustrating that you can't tell him that.
It is very frustrating. Yeah.
And even if you could tell him, he's not going to hear it, is he?
Probably not. He thinks he's right. He thinks he knows better.
So you're caught in a kind of very uncomfortable place here, aren't you?
Why am I laughing? Yeah, I am. It's interesting. Why am I laughing? I'm laughing out of embarrassment.
So why would you be embarrassed about this? Why are you embarrassed about this?
I don't know. Why would I need to laugh?
Where do you feel the embarrassment? What part of the body?
my face.
In your face, yeah. Oh, okay. So is there a loss of face with all of this?
Could be.
I love organ language. Organ language tells us so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always right, of course, but yeah. Yeah. So it seems to me like you have to make yourself into something that doesn't feel genuine with the whole thing with your sons.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be it's not genuine. Because when he calls, I always say, "Oh, hi, darling. How are you? Are you okay? How are you?" And when he comes at me with stuff, I go, "Oh, yeah, okay, okay."
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're just fake.
Yeah, fake, Fakenham. There's a place near here called Fakenham. Yeah, I should live in Fakenham.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm. And then I practice in my head. I go, next time he calls, I'm just going to go, hello. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. And they go, oh, Mum, what's the matter with you? I go, nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try that one. Then I think, what am I doing? What's all this about?
Mm. I'm so glad you're not fake here. I'm so glad of that. I really appreciate that.
Oh, I know, but I was accused of, wasn't I, by not fake, not being real. Same thing, isn't it? Oh, he was here last week. I don't know if he's here because I can only see so many of you.
I don't remember.
Andre.
Andre. Yeah.
Yeah. I annoyed him because he said I wasn't being real. So that would be fake.
Well,
Sorry.
maybe he picked up on something. You know, he wasn't annoyed. I think he was offering you a gift, maybe, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm grateful for everyone's time and whew, yeah. I don't think I'll use that word tricky again because it's a difficult word to explain.
Well, it's a good word, though. I think it kind of says something about the complexity and inability to see clearly. That's I think it works. It is tricky. Mm. I say that because I use that word a lot.
But also, Sis, that's a good name. Sis, is that your actual name, Sis? Sis.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. I like your name, Sis. And you've got a lovely nature. I like your lovely nature. And thank you for your questioning. You're asking me, I appreciate you going as we went into the feelings. Yeah. I didn't get terribly far with it, but I will go there again. And
yeah, no hurry, right? No hurry. Just curiosity and open. There, what I experienced with you is an opening. There was an opening there for you. I felt that.
Ooh. Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, a new way.
I think you went a lot further than you realize. Just wait and see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, what, 3 or 4 sons and the loneliness and the leaving and the presence and the, fake and the real, and that's a lot. It's like kind of like opening a can of worms. If there's a or a jar of worms and there's a lid on it, and they're all wiggling around. How can you count it or sort it? Or you have to open it first to even begin to know what's how many and where they're going. And yeah.
It's funny likening my sons to a can of worms, though.
No, I was actually lightening this area of being, you know,
the can of
there's
worms.
a lot in there for all of
The can of
us.
worms is here. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great. What's the word? What is it called?
Metaphor.
Metaphor. I love metaphors, but I couldn't even think of the word. It's a great metaphor because I'll go there. I'll open that can of worms and I'll look inside. Yeah.
Yeah. It might take a lifetime, but that's all right.
Oh yeah. Well, I hope I've got a few years yet to look in that can. But I also want to thank Rita, who's not on my pictures here, for asking Fastly about my son. I don't know, Rita's not here. I can't. Where she is, I can't see her. But thank you all. I appreciate you all being here. It's great. It's so lovely being here with you all.
Yeah. Thank you. Also, thank you very much.
Yvonne, it was like when Bianca said to me, it was really good to hear you say fuck you. Even though I'd have liked to hear you tag his name on that, but maybe that's a step too far. But sometimes when you've talked about your sons and the way they've treated you, I felt angry. I felt like, fuck you. Talking to, dumping the shit on her,
They're lovely as well. They've been really good and lovely to me, but we're going through difficult times right now. I don't know.
I'm sure they are, but it helped me when you were talking because it's that denial of anger that I sometimes suppress. And like I'm not supposed to, like it's dangerous, like I feel guilty, but we're allowed to be angry.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are hurtful and the things that he's saying to you are hurtful. That hurt me. I'll come and say to him if you want.
You're what? Sorry? Say that again?
I'll come and say fuck you to him if you want.
I'm getting there. I feel I gotta express this anger. It might disappear, but if it doesn't, I will say.
Yeah.
I'd like to share some.
Well, we'll see. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm not going to preempt anything.
No.
I'd like to share something that came up new for me in this conversation is that and so I'm putting this out to everyone and see, is there something here that I kept thinking, do I ever really, have I wanted, or do I want to say fuck you? And what came up for me is it seems so general. It seems so, and also that it was like, I think if I were really angry, I would want something specific. There would be a specific word like stop or don't or quit or leave, or do you know what I mean? Something that really hit the target instead of this, blast of, okay, I'll just all of this shrapnel and should hit something. Something about wanting to hit the target. Does this make sense? I can't say I ever. I mean, it's new. It's a new thought. But like,
It does. It makes sense to me. Yeah.
yeah, that maybe we quit too soon with fuck you. Maybe there's, yeah. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there generally because I'm looking at it myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Maybe one comes after the other. Maybe the general one expresses a recognition that there's something there, and then after that it becomes more specific.
Yeah.
So if you say it to somebody and they say, well, what do you mean? Then you will get more specific. Yeah.
Or even the recognition to ourselves,
Mm. Oh, I
'cause-
think it's big. I think it's big that it's to ourself that it's important. To say it to the other person is not such a big deal. But in our head, if we say it to the other person, but it's recognizing that we've been holding it in, and sometimes we've been holding it in forever and ever and ever. Yeah. Whew.
I kind of think that, can y'all hear me? Because I was muted a minute ago.
Yeah, we got you.
I kind of think fuck you is like it's the cherry on the top of everything, and I think you're right. It's not specific. It's not like stop or whatever, fuck you is when you don't have the words for everything else you want to say, it's the blanket that you just throw out there, because a lot of times when you get triggered, you haven't really had a chance to figure out what exactly are you pissing me off about, because because when it happens, you just like, so the fuck you is the catch-all for everything, and if you have a chance to really think about it, then maybe you can say, whatever, and this week, an example of that is this weekend, we're watching TV and I got this cramp in my leg that I don't get often, but when I get it, it's like childbirth. I mean, it just grabbed me, and I was rubbing it, and they're like, Kathleen, and I was like, don't talk to me, and they were like, well, do you want me to get, I was just so angry because it was like childbirth. And, all I could think about was this pain that was in my leg. And so finally, I was able to rub it out and get rid of it, and and I apologized profusely to everybody because I was so angry, but I had no voice. All I could say was just, don't talk to me, and I was just, but I didn't say fuck you, but fuck you would have been something, except they were talking. And so I had the word, don't talk to me, because that's what I wanted them to stop. It wasn't a global thing that you would say fuck you to. It was a specific thing I could say to them, but I think that fuck you is just globally when you've just had it all, and you just, it's just everything, just fuck it all. Anyway, that's my experience. And like I said, this weekend I did have the words to say, don't talk to me. And I mean, I apologize profusely because I was so ugly and angry, but God, my leg hurt. And then, it took about maybe 2 minutes to get the cramp out, but anyway, so that's just my thinking. I think fuck you is just when you don't have the words to say anything else. That's a catch-up. Just a thought.
For me, there's a temperature of anger. And it's like they say that you see red when you are angry. And for me, this is the level of fuck you.
The red.
When you see that, when you see red. But when I'm really, really angry, I see white. And I get tunnel vision, and really everything gets white.
Wow.
And I
That's powerful.
and then I am outwardly on the outward I am calm. And this is when I am so angry, I want to kill.
Oh.
It's to go to the place where it hurts the most.
Yeah, we often
Not
relate.
literally kill, but
Yeah, we often relate anger to heat, don't we? So red is red hot, and white is really, really hot. White is
yes,
melting steel hot. Yeah.
when it's so hot that it feels like freezing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what led me to this, maybe something in what you said, sis, but I just had this amazing realization about my stepdaughter. You know, when I know it's not about them, but but it seems like I'm angry with them. But suddenly came to me is I'm angry with myself for not taking care of myself enough.
Yeah.
When
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Bless you. Yeah.
that's so simple and it seems so complicated.
It's
that's
really
what it is.
simple, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
angry. I was angry that she wasn't bothered that I was ill, that she didn't come on time when I was ill. But really, it's me. I'm angry with me because I don't take care of myself and look after, and I abandon myself to people please.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that here too. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And when we stop that, it's amazing how much less angry or aggravated we are with what other people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
there's others.
I could just dance with you right now, Anne.
Nice to
That's
see
so
it. It's
cool.
did all that just for that little realization.
Yeah.
Which I've had before.
Yeah.
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 So it's a bit used to myself. It's like, fuck you, stop abandoning yourself for this fakeness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to say to Yvonne.
Sorry, go on, Bianca.
I wanted to say to Yvonne that this performance with the phone, how I think Andre would be very impressed.
Yes. Yes.
Vince, you always say that Andre would make a great comedian. But I think this was perfect comedy performance.
You can have pretend conversations with him on the phone, Yvonne.
Yeah, I'll practice.
Well,
I'll practice.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, he would be impressed with your authenticity.
Oh, I'm sad he's not here then.
I can't remember who it is, but there is a well-known psychologist who would have all of his clients name those personas that came out, like and it brings such recognition. And even if you could, so if you could name the mother who answers the phone that way, and what's she wearing, you know, and well, how does she look, and all of that. There's a, you know, there's just a healthy distancing and recognizing, oh, that's really has been mentally constructed to come across in this way, and it could be fun. If you do any of that, please share with us, because you really were delightful. I agree with you, Bianca. It was delightful to see you act that out.
I think it's Carl Jung who does the different parts, and they've adapted it now into IFS, internal family systems. So you talk to all the parts of yourself. It's really effective. I've done a bit of it. You talk to the inner child, talk to the achiever, the angry one. So you kind of talking
Speaking
to
of
all the...
taking care of yourself, I have to go to the bathroom and feed myself. So I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Much love.
Much love.
Mm. Well, I think that's probably a good place to for me to go and get breakfast.
Poached eggs?
Yes.
Will it be?
And I have something for you, Vince. Because, well, yesterday it felt for me like we said our goodbye, and it was so abrupt, and like I couldn't process it. We are not saying goodbye, but like in a way we are parting. And I felt sad. And today, by accident, I came across a Chinese poem, and it started with words, it is difficult to meet, and it is difficult to part. And I think this is the sadness, that we worked so hard to meet, and now we part. And I feel like it has to happen like that, but it's so sad.
I can't hear you very well. And I want to hear what you're saying. And I know you've got to go make the eggs, but I can't hear you, Bianca. I didn't hear what you said.
It was about sadness about parting.
The poem. Oh, you're feeling sadness at parting. Yes, I feel it in you. Yeah.
Yeah, the next line is, when the east wind withers, when the east wind weakens, hundreds of flowers wither away. And in China, it's the wind that brings rains. And it, yes, it is like, it's a change that I have no control.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like this is part of this cruelty of life. Well, when I was listening to Yvonne, I thought love is the most cruel thing. The next one is hope. Okay, and I had to to put something so heavy in the end. Sorry.
Oh,
No, sorry. Don't be sorry. It was beautiful.
Bianca,
get
I
it.
just a lot of love, honey. I'm feeling you right here. So
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
Me
I want to give you a hug too. I do.
Mm.
Yeah. No, you're going to cry. I'm going to
Okay,
cry. Yeah.
hug you all.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Mm.
Bye.
Beautiful meeting. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Lots of love.
Thanks.
Thanks, Vince.